Here we are, a little late, but all good. That's how you know it's live. We like to prove that it's live because we're a little late sometimes. So thank you all so much for joining us. Um, Welcome to Good Gut Live. We are live on many platforms, which is fun. We see your comments down below, so make sure if you have a question on what we're talking about, you can comment on below, whether you're watching on Instagram, whether you're watching on Facebook, wherever you're watching live. YouTube, I think, is a big live where we get a lot of questions. But this is a very exciting topic, and Dahlia is going to join me. It's been a little bit of a crazy Friday, but we're going to be talking about 5 steps to take to end your GI issues once and for all. So that's a pretty bold statement, but this is a mix of, and mostly, I mean, over the decade plus we've been doing this, just looking at the evidence, as well as seeing thousands of patients and running our own private practice. So fix that's probably better. There we go. So yeah, we are going to be giving you really the 5 top things we've seen, 5 big top tips, and things you can take away and use immediately to help you on your journey. And so hopefully this journey is saying, look, I'm done with these symptoms. I'm not just going to mitigate these symptoms or live with these symptoms. I'm going to actually get to the root, get to the bottom of my symptoms and end them, because you can do that. Majority of you can do that. We've spoken on this before. A lot of you, there are some cases where you've done a lot of damage and you can still prevent more damage, but quite a lot of damage has been done. But there are many, many, many more cases where you can still undo damage as well as reverse a lot of the damage being done, right? Whereas you can eliminate symptoms for a very, very long time, whether you want to call it remission or elimination, however you want to phrase it. But everyone's a little different, but for the most part, you can do that. So I'm gonna get started. Dahlia's gonna hop in when she's here. And thank you all again. If you're watching live, you get to interact live, and that's where at the end we'll get to some questions. Or if they're really good questions, we will we'll pop them in right away. But yeah, usually we'll see your questions at the end. Hi everybody on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and beyond. So I am able to see you all. Hello everybody. Um, so let's get right into it. I think the first one, some of these, I think they're going to build up a little bit, but these are 5, and it's very hard to narrow it down to 5. But these are chunky. We can, each point, I think, can be a whole episode of Good Gut Live. And again, thank you to those who are listening later on the Good Gut Live podcast, wherever you find podcasts. Yeah, so we'll try not to make them too meaty and chunky, but we'll see. We'll see how Dahlia, between Dolly and I, we love to talk. Hence why we needed a podcast to get into more of the context and give the full story and scenario here. So also, if you're watching, you may notice a different background. We did move. So that's why things have been extra crazy. This is a new background. It's not, I know some of Dahlia's patients were like, is this, oh, nice virtual background? Or like we've been in our backyard in here. And it's like, no, that's like a new scenario, new scene, right? So we did move, but not far. We're still in Orange County, California. But let's get into the first one. It may seem simple, but I will share my story of how this helped me a lot. But it's taking time. That's the intro, but it's taking time. So number one, taking time to assess and write and organize. I can't tell you, and that's why part of our practice, and really what took, I would say, a lot of time when we set up our private practice, was finding the right EMR, or some call it EMR, EHR, but it's electronic health records, electronic medical records. And some people get mad at us, or frustrated, I should say, when they come to our practice and they're like, you want me to fill out all this stuff? Like if you guys go to marriedhealth.com and you'll see like get started and all of that. We're having you fill it out because we are legit, right? We have electronic medical records. We're HIPAA compliant. We are licensed to take insurance. So all of this comes with state laws, federal laws. I won't go too deep into that rabbit hole, but the whole point of this is we take time to assess you. We take time to get your information. We also recommend that for you because like I was saying, we have patients who come to us going like, I don't know where my labs are. I did labs 6 months ago, or I did labs, or yeah, I got diagnosed 6 years ago or 2 decades ago, and I don't know where that document is. And I don't really know. And do you have a care team? Yeah, I do, but I haven't checked in with them. Or maybe, yeah, I did, but I forgot when. And your records are all over the place, right? So that's part of the process is we help you organize that a little bit. But it's even better if you take that time to just take a deep breath, clear your schedule a bit, and you kind of check in, right? And you check in a bit and go, okay, what are my main concerns? What do I want to get assessed? What's going on? Can I get my documents together? Do I need to write things down? Checking in with yourself is big. And my kind of story with that a bit is really going like, yeah, I never really checked in with myself. I came from a family where something happens and you just shove it down and and keep it there, and you don't need to talk about it, you don't need to rehash it, you don't need to check in with yourself and be conscious. Just keep on trucking, right? And a lot of us, I'm sure many of us can relate to that, right? And that's usually what gets us in trouble, because we just keep going and going and going, maybe making the same mistakes or new mistakes, and we never take that time to go, wait a second, can I clear out a Sunday? Can I clear out, even if it's like an extra hour on for 1 week or something, just to go, and whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling was big. I was not that person who's like, yeah, let me journal. No. But I found it very therapeutic, very helpful. Prayer, like when I run, when I walk, sometimes at the end of my run, I'm like, let me try to do another mile. Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to take this mile to walk and talk to myself and pray and just be in this stillness and quiet, and I get these thoughts and ideas and I get clarity. It's this idea of clarity, right? I don't know if I'm barely on number one, so if you want to add to what you're hearing. But yeah, so it's very, very important. It may seem like not a big deal, but it's a massive, massive deal.
And it's hard because what I hear from a lot of people is, I didn't realize it was a problem until I felt better, or I didn't realize how
Mhm.
bad it was and how much it was affecting my quality of life until it wasn't. So, really, just, yeah, take into account, is it affecting just your regular daily activities? Are you not able to get out of bed in the morning and go do your normal stuff, whether that's dropping your kids off to school or working out or whatever it is? And, taking
Mhm.
that account, like James was saying, because sometimes it makes sense and it is what it is sometimes. And when that's happening, you just kind of learn to accept it.
Mhm.
I know James shared we just moved. So there's been extra lately and we're fatigued. So I'm not maintaining my regular routine. My plate
Mhm.
is full with new things. And when you're able to take that into account and accept it versus shaming yourself of like, what?
Mhm.
I usually can do this. You're usually not moving. You're usually not
Yeah.
going through a huge life change. You're
Mhm.
usually not, whatever it is, apply your situation. So, just kind of taking that time and taking a breath and taking a beat enables you to realize that, whether it's to give yourself grace, to give yourself understanding, to give yourself perspective, to give your
Yep.
care team more information, it really can make such a difference. Because I
Mhm.
also see it on the other end where people are like, all I do is take accounts into what I'm doing, but they struggle to apply the perspective to it of like, this happened today. Why is my stomach hurting? Why am I more bloated today? Why is this? And it's like, hold on, let's take a minute.
Yeah.
Let's talk this out. You told me you were very stressed lately. You told me your refrigerator broke and you've been eating different things. So there could be a reason for it as well. So whether you're hyper conscious of what's happening with you, maybe not understanding the why, you're understanding the why but not really sure what's happening with you, it's so important to
Mhm.
just take that time.
Yes. Okay. Number two. So number two on our steps to take. So step two would be, then once you get that kind of assessment done, or once you kind of check in with yourself,
Mhm.
now it's going, okay, who do I need? Who do I consult with? So number two, consulting with someone you trust. So whether it's like, oh, a friend I trust had this similar thing going on, or if it's like, oh, I know this great doctor and they'll have some insight on this. Or, someone you trust, someone you feel is a qualified and trustworthy person to go, let me seek some help. And this is big too, right? And it is kind of like, there's a reason why there's this like 12-step program and why some of these are very similar to that. It's because these steps work, and these steps in order work really well, and they are very meaningful and impactful. And that's what we want for all of you listening and watching, is like, enough's enough, right? Like we see this all the time, whether you're dealing with a chronic disease or it's mental health or it's even spiritual health. You've been doing the same thing, or you've been telling yourself and kidding yourself like, it's not a big deal, I got it under control. I know this because I did that to myself. It's not a big deal. I'm doing this little thing and I know what to do and I got it. Me. I know. And it's like, no, the key and what we're taught in so many ways is to seek wisdom, seek wise counsel, seek those who are trustworthy and wiser than you. And you hear this even from like the gurus out there, whether they're spiritual gurus, financial gurus, marriage gurus. It's like, you want to be around people who are doing better than you. You want to be seeking counsel from those who you want to be like, because they're going to give you these like massive tips and troubleshooting steps that cut corners in a good way, right? Or you're able to skip a lot in a short amount of time because they've done it. They're knowledgeable. They are trustworthy. They are wise, right? That's the key. So that's step 2. Seek that from wherever, whoever it makes sense. Seek that. That is important.
Because I always like to say, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
You can't know what other people know. Not to discount what you know, right? Especially in healthcare. I know, a lot of people have healthcare trauma, or they're like, I've been gaslit.
Totally.
So you come in with yours, and that's why step 1 is important. You took that time.
You're number 1. You're in step 1.
You took that time to assess, to write down, because you know you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take that to someone else who knows anatomy, physiology, medicine, and integrative modalities.
Yeah.
I think one great point was, unless you want to become a GI specialist, it's best to just consult with the GI specialist. Like, focus on what you're good at. And yesterday I had a patient, and I'm seeing her husband. She's referred to her mom, her sister. She literally was in tears saying, thank you for providing me with your support. I was becoming just so exhausted and overwhelmed trying to learn all this myself, because she has her own job. She has her own specialty. She has her own thing she's good at that I'm not good at, right? I think she's an accountant or something like that, but I'm not good at that. I can't imagine having to know both.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we're here for. You might not want to study poop and gas and, reflux and all these different things. I do for my reasons. Like, I love it. So don't feel like you have to become a specialist. Definitely feel like you should take notes. So that way, when you come to someone, whether it's a GI dietitian, a GI doctor, an integrative provider, you can give the right context and you can give the right notes, but don't feel like you have to go it alone. Don't feel like you have to consume hours of YouTube and go on Instagram University and consult with Dr. Google and be with, all on Grok. Like, you don't have to do all these things. Do it if you want to verify and double check, but also, get that mentorship and get that counsel.
There's totally like different levels to that. Yeah. Because like, I know we're having plumbing issues in our shower, and it's like, it's one thing where I was going to look for some tips on shutting off the water or what I could do. But it was a whole other thing where then I quickly was at the same time looking for a plumber, because I'm not a plumber. I don't want to take the time to be a plumber. I could totally become a plumber, but in that situation, I'm not going to do it that quickly. I need it done like immediately. And even after that, I have no interest in then being like, I'm going to take up plumbing as a hobby. That way, in case my pipes break, I know what to do. No, I call someone, right? I seek someone who this is what they do. They got it. They're going to help me. So yes, that's super important. Number 3. So step number 3, okay, you're dealing with this. All of this can be very stressful, because what's crazy is with step 1 and step 2, you're almost adding more stress, because a lot of the issues, and I know this personally with step 1, for example, is kind of this awareness. Is becoming aware of it is stressful, because going back to step 1 a little bit, you kind of repress things, you hide things, you compartmentalize, and that can be helpful. But when that compartment is overflowing and bursting at the seams and causing disease in your body, and when you take time to open that closet, open that drawer, and it's like, oh my gosh, yes, I forgot about all that. Oh my gosh, it's extremely overwhelming and stressful to your body. Then finding someone, whether you're looking it up and asking friends and Googling and Yelping, and you're finding a dietitian or doctor, very stressful. So number 3 is get your stress under control.
Or even just
realize,
check your stress,
right? Stress is massive. You're hearing this, you're seeing this a lot about stress, but we want to share some of our tips, I think, that have been helpful for us, but also as another reminder, stress is powerful. Stress is this differentiator of like, I've been doing everything, or maybe you are seeing Dahlia or Rachel or whatever, you're seeing someone and, oh my gosh, things are going great, and I'm continuing on this path. Stress can be that rock or that nail in the road that pops your tire a little bit. All is not lost, but stress is a massive speed bump in the road to wellness. I don't know if you want to add to that.
And I was just sharing that. I don't know if you all follow us on Instagram. That's where you'll find me most active on that platform, because it's just my preferred platform. But I was sharing a story a couple weeks ago of I have my gut health pretty much under control day to day. When I'm in my routine and my schedule, my gut is not a problem.
We feel confident saying Dahlia's overcome her IBS.
It's not a daily thing.
Yeah.
But when I'm super stressed and my routine is just 100% off, I'm really mindful, because I know that's my trigger.
Like moving and when our shower breaks at the same time?
Not only, we moved from the other place because the shower broke and leaked there, and that's why we left. And now this one, we came here, the shower broke and leaked. That was a big trigger. But anyways, that's my trigger. So I'm aware of that now. Whereas before, I don't really think I even noticed how stressed I was.
Really?
Appreciated space for certain things when stressful things are happening. I was very much raised in a family of like, just keep going, like just stop, don't complain, and just put your head down and work. Doesn't matter what else is happening. Like just go. And
we
we
need to do an episode of like our stuff, but yes, Dahlia's the do more to distract, and I'm the like escape.
And I don't even realize that I'm doing more to distract. I'm just like, what am I going to do about this? I have to just keep going. But I wouldn't make time to just decompress or even just acknowledge what was happening around me. And so that would trigger me, because then I wasn't conscious of what could trigger my gut right now. So when I'm very stressed, I know I'm not going to go and eat a bunch of refined sugar. I'm not going to go out to eat very frequently, because certain ingredients will just irritate my gut. There's a lot more fat. There's a lot more sugar. You're probably taking a lot more, omega-6, bacteria.
Touching your food.
And I know for me, my personal microbiome, I'm a little bit more sensitive, or I can lean a little bit more into those sulfur bugs. And we do know also they gobble up stress, or they thrive in stress. They're opportunists. So they'll show up when they're stressed, because they're like, her guard's down. Let me come in here. So I'm very mindful now after, I lived with IBS for over 20 years, but now I'm mindful where I'm like, I'm stressed. I'm not going to go eat a bowl of cabbage and Brussels sprouts and asparagus and broccoli this week. This is not that time. I need to chill. I need to just keep things bland. I want to make simple, easy homemade meals. I don't want to go out to eat too much. So I know when I'm stressed, that will irritate my gut. So I don't end up having the gut irritation just because now I know that, but that was not always true in the past. And I shared, several years ago, I can remember 2 of my last biggest gut flares. One of them was happening almost, 3.5, 4 years ago, when my mom was in the hospital, and it became evident to me she was not going to survive. And I was just not conscious. Again, there was so much going on. I had a young child to take care of. I was losing my mom, and I just wasn't mindful. I remember
I wasn't
one of the days
as well.
I ate a bunch of cauliflower crackers, and then, my dad and my siblings and I went out to dinner, and we picked pho, and I ate this huge bowl of pho with cabbage and broccoli. And I remember I had to call James. James didn't come with us, because I said, I don't think I could drive home. You might have to come pick Layla and I up. I was literally doubled over in pain in the shopping center, because I just overdid it. My sulfur bugs were activated. So
Mhm.
that, and then before that, my biggest flare prior was a few years prior to that. So much going on. We moved. We had moved. It was Layla and James's birthdays. There was a death of a very close person in my life. I was leaving my job to come and kind of work for myself full time. So there was a lot going on. I was not conscious of my stress. I was just trying to bullet through it and just keep going. I ended up having to get my appendix removed
Mhm.
because my microbiome was in such disarray. I just wasn't conscious. I wasn't mindful. So for me personally,
Yeah.
this is important because I know stress is my trigger. And I know that's a trigger for so many of my patients where they'll come to me and they're like, I don't get it. I'm eating, low FODMAP. I'm mindful of my histamines. I'm like, how's your stress? Oh,
Mhm.
well, yeah. My husband lost his job last week. And it's like, okay, that's stressful.
Mhm.
Let's make some adjustments right now until things kind of get back into their groove and get back into their norm, because it doesn't go away. We can try to repress the stress or, like James said, try to just stuff it down, disassociate from it, distract yourself from it. But it doesn't really go anywhere unless you're able to process it and release it. So whether that's past trauma, early adverse life events, a traumatic event that you've been avoiding, whether that's current stressors, it's not going to go anywhere until you process it and release it into a journal,
Mhm.
into some somatic release, into cognitive behavioral therapy, into hypnotherapy, into EMDR, something. So
Right.
it's so important for you to identify what outlets you need for your stress.
And then so with kind of this step 3 and step 4, they can kind of overlap because even step 4 is a little bit of the plan of action. So step 4 is choosing a plan of action, but in step 3, whether that is like, oh, I need emotional release therapy, or I'm now seeing a therapist, or so all you
I need
see,
to not add extra stress. I need to not go to the gym this week because I'm too stressed. And
right?
even though that's good stress, it's more stress that if I can avoid, I'm going to avoid it.
And so with these steps, you're building and building. They're building on one another. Ideally, you're not just like doing them in silos, right? Individually, they're all together. You're building on this. And so your care team, with step 4, you're helping to choose a plan of action because, like Dahlia said, you may find, oh, I do need therapy and I'm more susceptible to sulfur bugs. Or you find, oh, yeah, I have childhood trauma that I never released. So I need more of like an emotional release. And I maybe have a hydrogen dominant overgrowth, or
And I'm seeing diarrhea.
and you're seeing diarrhea. So there's lots of differentiation. It's completely customized here. So that step 4 is, it's not a one size fits all. It's not like go find a generic package or program protocol and just follow it like thousands of other people. No, it's going to be unique. So understand that, know that, and take that step along with step 1 through 3 because you're
They all go
so
together.
unique, right? There's some
Mhm.
people who don't have trauma. They it's great. We love that. And we say like Layla's gonna have this. We're like Layla's best friends with her parents, and Layla, and then Layla's kids are gonna have like hopefully wonderful grandparents, and Layla and her husband, right? We see that. For us, that wasn't the case, but we see that for Layla, and that's great for so many people, right? Like so many people don't have that trauma, or they're not, experiencing these early adverse life events, and that's wonderful. But that's not true for everybody. That's not everyone's life and scenario. So you're going to choose a plan of action that is unique for you.
Mm.
And that is important. That's an important step, right? Where you're getting, again, all these other steps that we mentioned, you're properly assessed, you know what's going on, you're more conscious, you're getting the help you need. It's usually a multi-prong care. And then you're choosing the right plan of action and continuing on that from there. So that is very important.
And if you need help, again, go back to step 2, consult with someone you trust. Like my patients often will message me through our patient portal, or they'll post in our private membership group, hey, this is what's going on. What is your experience? What's your feedback? What's your input? So again, don't feel like you have to go it alone. If you need a therapist, if you need to
Mhm.
reach out to your primary provider, if you need your dietitian, if you need your community, don't hesitate to reach out because it's hard. It's hard to
Mhm.
process that stress alone.
And then step 5 can be a tip or step. I mean, whatever you want to call it, but it is. It's important that you do this. It is so. So the 5, the fifth and final tip is understanding and really finding peace all along this journey. Finding peace every step of the way, understanding that if you're barely starting in step one and it's rough and maybe your relationships are in disarray, your health is in disarray, you're unable to work. We've seen it all. You're on disability, you're having all these other symptoms. I mean, life can just be raining and pouring, and it is just, you're soggy and wet and you're about to slide into the gutter, right? We've all kind of been there. But it's crazy to say this, but in looking back, and really this is my mindset even moving forward, where you're not going to be perfect. I had a rough Monday. I was grumpy. I was like, oh man, talking to the plumbers grumpy. And I have to do this. We all get grumpy, right? Like it's okay. But because I've done these steps and we continue to do these steps and practice these steps every single day, by Tuesday, I was like, okay, God, you're reminding me, okay, I got back into a little bit of a healthy routine. And I remembered, oh yeah, there's peace in this. Like, I'm thankful I have the ability to call a plumber. I'm thankful that we're getting all this stuff fixed. And yes, it's extra, but it's all going to be okay, right?
You went out on a run.
I went on a run. I was like, I need to go run and pray and talk to God a little bit. And it's just taking that time and getting back into what we need to get into. So that was very helpful. And that goes into, it's crazy to say, it's step 5. It's making peace, right? A little bit. It's peace in the storm. And it's also peace when you're like, oh, I'm finding answers and I'm feeling better. Wow. Of course, it's easier to find peace there. The challenge is making peace when you're in that rough healing process. Mm-hmm. When I know Dalia says healing is not linear. Like you think like, all right, I'm healing. And then like we're saying stress and like traveling and moving. And then you start to fall a little bit. It's going to be okay. You're going to go back on track. It's just making peace with the process a little bit.
And this is a combo I have very often with my patients because, like James said, stress will come up or travel will throw things off. A big life event will occur, whether it's a happy one or a sad one. But these big life events tend to throw us off. Yep. Maybe you'll pick up a stomach bug, whether it's from something you ate or your kid brought it home or you went traveling. Maybe you got sick with a strong virus and that threw things off. Mm-hmm. It's not about never experiencing those bumps in the road. It's about how quickly you recover. So, like James said, you're driving along your path, you got a nail in your tire. It's not about avoiding every nail ever. They're out there. It's part of life. It's asking, okay, how quickly can you reach out to your resources, get it handled, and keep chugging along. It's not expecting a perfect road and saying, wait, but I saw my dietitian one time, like, why is everything not fixed? It's not how life works. So it's really just saying, okay, now when I get gastroenteritis, my dietitian and I talked about this protocol, or my team and I talked about this protocol. So it's more short-lived. So I don't have post-infectious gastroenteritis. Now when I get sick, these are the things that I do so I'm not sick for a prolonged period, or I don't get sick as often. I don't get as sick. So that matters. That's progress as well. Even if it's not perfect, it's progress. Now, when there are life events, I create space for them instead of just expecting myself to still do all of the other things and deal with this huge life change. I'm understanding of that. Now, when I travel, I try to acclimate my circadian rhythm as quickly as I possibly can. I bring fiber with me. I take the things that I have on a daily basis to help my gut health. So that way, when I am traveling, I'm not feeling awful the entire time. So there are ways when these things come, and they will, I promise you they will, for every single person. It may be to varying degrees, but I promise you these things will come. But there are ways to, again, not feel the bump in the road so severely, or not completely veer off and you're out of commission and out of service for weeks and weeks and weeks. So the recovery is more important than the event. Kind of like what I say to people when they wear a CGM. It's like, you're never going to avoid blood sugar spikes completely. It's just how quickly you recover from them. So that is life.
And if I could just go through really quickly and say the opposite of these really quickly, because that's so step 1 was take time to assess. The world tells you don't take that time.
No, avoid.
Take time to escape. Yeah. Go shopping. travel,
social media,
take time to escape. Number two,
comfort you.
consult with someone you trust. No, just trust someone on TikTok and trust the person with the most followers and whatever. You don't
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. You have all the answers. Look within, and it's you, me.
You're gonna manifest.
You're gonna manifest, like, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But like, and number three, get your stress under control. No, just take a pill, and not to knock on medication or taking pills. I mean, some are helpful, but like, no, don't find root causes to your stress or understand it. Take a medication, right? Just get on that.
Or just don't get your stress under control. Disassociate, avoid.
It's still kind of that escape,
cope with something else. Use drugs, alcohol, sex, anything else outside of just getting it under control.
And four, choose a plan of action. No, like, we don't need a plan of action. Just be sedentary, be content. Don't make a choice or do something generic, right? Or fall in that bucket of like, a chemical is a chemical. I'm gonna eat the way I want. And you really kind of get in this negative mindset where it's like, I'm going to die anyway. We hear that from people. Like, either way, I'm dying. So I'm going to eat the way I want to eat, do what I want to do. And it's like, then you don't have to make that choice, right? You don't have to choose that plan. So it's like, okay, you can do that, but these are the opposites of what we recommend, right? And number five, the healthy step was make peace. And understand healing is not linear, right? You're making peace even in the pain and the positive, right? The opposite of that is, no, blame someone else. This is not, I have peace, but it's because of so and so that this is happening. It's my stupid doctor did this and that, and you think you're kind of pawning off the let's say negativity, but you're becoming that negativity. You're just like, oh, it's that person who made me late, and it's my doctor who messed up my labs, and I didn't know this, and it's my parents' fault. They raised me, like, and you're just so angry and upset. You're not finding that peace, right? So these are the opposites a bit very quickly of what kind of the world tells you to do, and it doesn't really help, right? You'll see if you don't or if you do the opposites of this, you're going to find yourself in a really dark place. And you may find, I don't know, you may find that sometimes you feel good, but most of the time now you're leading on that trajectory of like, you're not going to a good place. You're feeling down, you're feeling bad, your symptoms are getting worse, or you're needing to rely on more and more outside stimulus, whether that is the sex, drugs, alcohol, or the medication, pills, and even supplements, more and more supplements, and you're not getting to a better place. So that's a quick kind of opposite of these steps. So you see how powerful these steps can be. We wanted to share these steps just for clarification, just as a refocus. Let this be a reminder. Let this be something that, whether you're listening later on, you send to someone in a nice way and just go, hey, these 5 steps are really helpful. They've helped me personally. They've helped Delia personally. There's still so much. This is like the outline. This is still the skeleton structure. And there's so much to fill in on it. But this is the skeleton outline to get you started on just truly putting in the work, finding peace in the work to get better, to heal with each meal, to not just suppress symptoms, but to get to the root of your symptoms.
To feel with each meal.
So that's what it's all about. So,
because if you don't feel it, someone else will.
Ooh,
you're gonna pass it on.
That's a good one.
So we know this wasn't directly nutrition related.
Yeah.
But these are things that we talk about with those that we work with our Good Gut Gang, with our community, with our patients, with ourselves, with each other, with our daughter, because
stuff we live.
I feel like if more people understood these concepts, we'd have a lot less mental, emotional, physical disease. We'd have less spiritual disease. We'd just have more peace and more understanding. So we hope that in this busy season of life, we know we're feeling it too. We're in the last few weeks of school. We're exhausted. We're doing all the things, whether we come on here and you feel like we don't go through it as well. We do. We promise you we do.
Shout out to the parents. Summer's almost here, but then you have all your kids home or you're at camp or figuring out camp. But
you get to sleep in a little bit. But if you haven't gotten there in your journey where you're finding that peace and you're trying to say, as long as my diet's perfect, it doesn't matter. As long as I take all these perfect supplements, my diet or my stress doesn't matter. It does. I hate to break it to you. And I think I was one of those people in the past where I just felt like, let me just try to control what I can control. I'm just going to control my nutrition. I'm going to over exercise. I'm going to do all these things because that's all I feel I can control, when I wasn't conscious of my stress. I wasn't always in the best control of my stress. And so if that's you, if you are wondering if it's affecting your gut, it probably is. So we hope that these tips kind of encourage you to reflect on it and see what you want to do differently. Or if you already have had that realization, you're in that journey, we just hope this added to it and brought up maybe something to bring up with your team.
And we try to keep these, when it's these tips, we try to keep these episodes short so you can like really just take it all in. And then next time, and let us know, comment down below or shoot us an email, marytout.com. And I think next time we're going to get into more like food and nutrition tips. But if you like this, want more of this, let us know. Okay, everyone, nice and short. Happy Friday for those watching live. Happy whatever day it is for those listening and watching later on. And remember to always heal with each meal.
Feel with each meal.
Until next time, have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend, wonderful life. All right, we'll see you next time on the Good Gut Life podcast.